Hi, I'm Olivia Danner, and I work as a campaign associate with the Vote for Equality campaign, which is part of the Feminist Majority.
I'm Rosanna Gavaldon. I'm an Arizona State Senator for Legislative District 21, which is in southern Arizona.
My name's Cameron Adams. I'm the campaign manager for Congressman Greg Stanton.
Hi, my name is JoJo Reed, and I served as the Kappa Delta president here at Arizona State. Awesome.
I wanted to make documentaries. I feel like I've always been interested in like social issues and kind of trying to make change in society. And when I was little, I thought like documentaries would be the best way to do that. And I'm not doing that now, obviously, but I do think that I'm still kind of working on those same issues.
My father was career Air Force, so I grew up in military bases. And so I always thought I was going to be like my mom, a housewife, married to a military man. And so I didn't really have um, I guess, inspiration in a sense until we moved to Arizona in 1973 when I discovered much more than Air Force living. And so when I look at those years, I always wanted to be an educator or something that would bring positivity into the community. So I always thought, oh, I'm going to be a teacher, and just didn't happen.
When I was younger, like elementary school age, I wanted to be a teacher always. But once I got into high school, then I think I kind of figured out that I was interested in working in politics. So I have known for a while that that's what I wanted to do.
When I was younger, I really wanted to be a doctor. I really wanted to help people, but as I got older, science was not really my niche, and I've since changed aspirational goals, but that was always where I started off.
Probably the women in my family. I look up to my mom a lot. She's a very smart, hardworking, educated woman who works in the legal field, which historically has been very male dominated. And I feel like she has experienced a lot of pushback being in that field, but she's persisted. And I think that she's really succeeded. And she always showed me that I could do anything I wanted and has been a great example of a strong woman. And same with my two grandmas. They're amazing, strong women who, always told me girls can do anything, like girl power, and um, never made me feel like my gender was something that would like hold me back. So I really appreciate them and look up to them.
I think a lot of people, teachers that I had, inspired me. I was always looked up to my history and like social studies teachers in high school, so they were um, big inspirations for me. And then as far as like political leaders, like Sonia Sotomayor was sworn into the Supreme Court when I was 12, I guess. So saying public figures like that was always a big inspiration. And then the first candidate that I worked for, she was state representative Jennifer Germain, still is a big inspiration to me. She's a mom and a great leader, always lifting up young people and giving them opportunities on her campaign. So she's someone I looked up to when I started working in politics, and someone that I still look up to now.
It's obviously important to have women in leadership positions because our leadership in society should represent our population. And I think that I don't want to generalize women because obviously we're not a monolith, but I think that a lot of the traits that women typically can have are really good for companies. Like women typically value community and ethics. And I think that those are things that really can propel companies to success and that they should prioritize. I think that we can promote more diversity and inclusion within leadership by one, promoting women into leadership. But I also don't think that's enough because I think we've seen historically that simply promoting marginalized people to leadership um, won't lead them to succeed if they aren't properly supported once they're in leadership. So I think that um, companies need to provide supports for things like childcare, which typically disproportionately fall on mothers as opposed to fathers. So we should have paid parental leave. We should have free childcare, free preschool. And I think that those things are would allow women to work in leadership positions more.
Um, I lived in Tucson until 2004, and my husband was actually started working in the Green Valley Sahuarita area. That's where I live now, in Sahuarita, so south of Tucson. And what happened was we moved here, and I had worked, you know, majority of my life. We were bringing up our son, and then suddenly we moved to the Green Valley Sahuarita area, and what happened is that I wasn't working, and so I didn't know what to do with myself. I had a brand new house, it was beautiful down here. So what I started doing is I started volunteering my time, and what I noticed was the majority of the volunteers were women, and so it was like, where are the leaders? So I started actually attending the Sahuarita town council meetings, and what I found was that was a very interesting. It was very interesting in doing that, but only there was two women, and the other five were men. And so I started really looking into that, and what I found is that women have to be asked. I said, I keep hearing this number 7 times before we actually run for office. And so it was very interesting to really look at what that really meant. So I decided to run for Sahuarita Town Council, and it was an uphill battle. But as your question is why do what do I see in women's position in leadership? We need more of,
Mhm.
because women really do kind of solve problems we have, and we talk to one another. And so the benefit of having women in leadership roles is the fact is that we kind of think things through, we find solutions. If we don't listen to each other, we're not going to get anywhere. Philosophy. So that's why I believe more women should run for office or be in leadership roles. And what I found was this was back in 2004, and we fast forward to 2024, and you see more women in leadership roles. And it's very inspiring, because when I first got into leadership roles, there was very few of us.
I think the big importance of having women in these leadership positions, and especially even being a part of an organization or just having organizations like Kappa Delta or other sororities, is giving women a place to grow and to learn. And I think especially here in Kappa Delta, we prioritize growing your confidence in yourself and in your leadership abilities. So one, that's why I always encourage people to get as involved as possible and to strive for leadership positions, to really just grow your confidence in who you are as a person, and your confidence in your abilities, and knowing that you can handle on taking larger responsibilities, and that you really deserve to have a seat at the table and you can handle making decisions. So I think it's really important, especially when you're younger in high school or in college, to pursue for leadership positions, whether it be stuff like student council on a sports team. I really think it grows your confidence in yourself to later really be able to stand up for yourself and strive for things like that in your career.
And barriers can come, and I want to address that, is barriers can come because you do it to yourself. You All of a sudden you're like, okay, these are the decisions I'm making. However, oh, there's something in front of me, right? And the thing is either you do, either you wait and you stand behind the barrier and you go, okay, I give up, right? Or you make your way around the barrier, right? Or you find somebody to help you get over that barrier.
Mhm.
And a lot of that came with actually not only talking to my caucus, but my colleagues from across the aisle. And the thing is, their willingness to talk about things, and maybe they don't agree with me in regards to the decisions, but that's when we can put amendments on bills, and we can find some sort of compromise. The opportunity right now with the Democratic governor is wonderful. However, we still got to work because my colleagues from across the aisle have the majority. So we have to find that common ground, and we have to look at what we're gonna do. So the barriers can be as big and like, oh, I could never get over that wall or that fence, or we can look at what I do is I look at it and sit there and say, what can I do? Where can I find that ladder? Where can I have somebody help me boost me over? Or maybe perhaps I'm stuck on that side of the wall and there's no exit, there's no way of getting around that. So reality really comes to be, but I go back to, we have to listen to one another.
I think there's still like a huge bias towards women, like in workplaces especially. Like you always hear like the women are too emotional, like those kind of things. I know some people say those is like a joke now, or like a lot of people have gotten past that, but I think that's still all like built into workplaces. And apart from that, like women are still expected to raise families while they have a career, or expected to put their career on hold, and there aren't really resources, or a lot of workplaces or institutions don't provide like ways for women to get around that, or like have a career and raise a family. So I think that's a big barrier as well.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think we can overcome these barriers?
I think having more women in position of power, because it's like almost like a man might not even think about that if they're like leading a company or an organization. So have more women that are making decisions on behalf of organizations or companies, then I think that will start to improve, or just people talking about it more.
Back when I first ran for Southwick, the town council, what the Pima County Democrats actually did was they had this kind of movement called Build a Bench. And what they were encouraging individuals to actually run for local races so that we could learn, that maybe we can go to a higher office. And so that's what it helped me, kind of propelled me into the Southwick, the town council, which was a nonpartisan race. But I chose to have the Democrats support me. And that's how my volunteers came, was hitting doors, very grassroots. In 2009, we hit thousands of doors, me personally, but other volunteers. And what I found is that that's what really, that's why I encourage women to sit there, not only run for political office, but to actually look at being on boards and commissions, going on not-for-profits, being that the president or the vice president or the chair or the vice chair of these not-for-profits. Because what it did to me was it taught me leadership, and how we can, as leaders, no matter who we are, we can lead by example. But as I'm repeating myself, is I had to learn how to follow as well. I needed to stop and listen and say, hey, you know what, that may be a better idea, instead of going and being a bulldozer and saying, hey, this is my way or the highway, which I find right now sometimes politics can be that way. It's my way or the highway, and we're in the majority, and we don't care about you because you don't have the votes. But to really have those conversations that open up to what we can be, as a state and as a county and as a municipality, that we can be better at what we do if we would just stop and look at the issues and really talk about the pros and cons and really find that solution. And I find that when I first got into the legislature, I was in a very much of a minority. Right. And so I didn't really find, that kind of like how it felt to be in the majority, right? How to feel that power. So it was more of always fighting, always kind of like saying, okay, well, what can we get, and what my my freshman term at the legislature, what it really did find is I learned who I was and who I am, how I was. It was very different than coming from Sahuarita Town Council, but actually to be at the state capitol with 89 other legislators and to find that where did I fit in? And what I found was at first it was like I was fearful of like saying, well, maybe I'm making the wrong decisions. But coming back to my legislative district and people saying, "Hey, why did you vote that way?" And for me to have to explain my votes, and it was like, well, it was because my caucus voted that way, and that didn't feel right. That did not feel right to me. What I wanted to do is I wanted to go back in my sophomore term at the House and really look at how I was making my decisions, that was kind of the turn of the leaf on that. But I had to what I but during all that time I had my people that I admired, people that I could talk to, that I could pick up the phone. And I have to tell you, the majority of them were women and women that were in different leadership roles. And it was like, what, how do you do that? How do you deal with that? And and what I learned, and this is still my philosophy, is if we don't listen to each other, we're not going to get anywhere.
Honestly, no. I'm really glad I haven't. I know a lot of women do experience that. And I think that there's a lot of expectations that are placed on women, particularly historically. Like one thing I talk about with my mom is like when she first entered her career, what she wore had a very big influence on how she appeared. And if she was wearing something that was perceived to be revealing, then people would not take her seriously as a professional. And obviously, that doesn't affect men. And so I think that women oftentimes have to kind of police themselves because, women, everything they do is scrutinized. Like women's hobbies are insulted by men, the way women speak, the way they look, the way they dress, all of those things, people, especially men, use to kind of discount women's intelligence, and dismiss their hard work. So I definitely think that that is a common problem, and I'm glad that I haven't personally experienced that much.
I don't know if I would necessarily say changing my personal beliefs, but I think stepping into a leadership position definitely challenges you to look at things in a different light or just kind of change the ways that you're approaching certain situations, especially like being president of a sorority or like an organization of 300 members. So we have we're a diverse chapter. There's a wide range of people with different opinions, beliefs, ideas, and also coming from all sorts of different backgrounds. So I think sort of stepping into this leadership position or any leadership position, it challenges you that you're not only making decisions or choices for yourself, but really your decisions and your choices are impacting this whole group of people. So really keeping all of their interests in mind is definitely really important, of course, being a leader. So I think that's how it has changed my personal beliefs in a way, is almost that it's challenged me to consider other people's interests, consider other people's lived experiences, and how that ultimately impacts us as a whole community and not just how something impacts me as an individual.
I think I am most proud of what I mentioned earlier, which was starting the free Plan B program on my campus because I felt like that was something that I could do as a student to increase access to reproductive health care, especially, which was especially important in a state that had a total abortion ban. And I was really lucky to get introduced to organizations that were created to support students who are working on these programs. I know there's a lot of schools who have like vending machines for emergency contraceptives, and we didn't end up doing that. We ended up kind of creating our own program, but we were able to get free Plan B from the manufacturers and work with our student health center to create a distribution program and manage volunteers who would give it out. And I felt like that really made a tangible impact on my community, and I felt really proud because I could see that it was benefiting people and that it was really needed. And so I'm really glad I did that. And obviously, it wasn't just me. I was part of a big group of people who fought very hard for that. And I'm proud of us.
Being elected. I have to tell you, the powers that be in the town of Saudita said you'll never get elected. First, you're a woman. Second, you are Latina, you're Hispanic, and you don't belong on this council. And what I think what really got to me was people would sit there and say, you're not gonna win, Rosanna. And what really inspired me is I would tell them, watch me. And I bring that to other women and other girls, right? When I hit the doors and women come and they say this, I have so much respect for you. You speak from the heart, you and the thing is I tell them it's because of you. It's because of you that I'm here. It's because of you that I can be that leader. It's because of you that so that's one accomplishment. Another accomplishment is being a mom and being and going there and thinking like a mom, right? And being able to sit there and say, hey, I'm a parent. I understand about public education. I understand about the issues that are really impacting our families. So being a mom is an accomplishment. It's actually an honor to be a mom. And so accomplishments can be also where I'm part of a caucus that I'm very proud of. A lot of people that I serve with, I respect. So that accomplishment is, and that accomplishment is that I'm willing to listen and be able to learn from them. As my father always says, listen and learn, right? Sometimes he is one of those ones that watches the legislature on television, and what he said at one time was he called me that evening, and I had to explain my vote, and I was very long-winded, and what he said was talk less, listen more. And that really resonated with me. So accomplishments, I'm not that politician that wants the awards. I'm not that politician that wants to be in the spotlight. I would prefer to have, hey, somebody else wants all the glory, go for it. As long as the policy, as long as the issue is addressed, as long as my constituents are taken care of, I don't need those awards. I don't need those acclamations. I don't need the spotlight. My accomplishment is getting things done.
Amazing.
This last campaign cycle, managing a congressional race, I feel like I'm a little younger than most people, which I'm proud of myself for. I worked really hard and had a successful outcome. We're still waiting for more votes to come in, obviously, but I think just navigating this new experience without having like too much support, but like I've had support, but just a new experience. And with like my career path, you can't necessarily there's only so many people you can ask that have like done the same thing. So only so many people you can ask for. You can't look it up, how to have this conversation with your male consultant. So I've had to kind of navigate different work situations. So I feel like that's my proudest accomplishment.
So I feel like there's so many little different things to talk about, but I think my biggest accomplishment was this past year our chapter was awarded the Outstanding Philanthropic Endeavor, and we were awarded this because we nearly doubled the amount of money we were able to fundraise for Prevent Child Abuse America during our Shamrock Week that's hosted each semester. And I was in the Vice President Events and Programming role during that time when those funds were raised. So really being the person behind planning those events, helping to increase awareness for the philanthropies that we support, and then in hand receiving recognition from the university, especially when there's so many other chapters in our community who all have amazing philanthropies and have amazing efforts and endeavors towards raising funds. So really receiving that recognition on a larger scale was so rewarding, because also in hand being vice president of events and programming and getting to raise all that money for organization was rewarding enough in the experience, knowing that we helped all of those families, help provide more resources, but then in hand knowing that our community saw how hard our chapter was working and the leaps we were making was really awesome.
Congratulations.
This very prescient question, considering the election results. I think that right now it feels very hard to be a woman. It feels hard to be any marginalized person, I would assume, because it feels like we have just elected a leader who doesn't care about us, who really hates us. To see a leader who has sexually assaulted women and bragged about it be chosen to lead our country it feels like, a punch in the gut. And it feels like a big step back in terms of the progress that has been won by decades of women fighting so hard, fighting for basic things like the right to control our own bodies. And so what I'm thinking right now is we can take a little time to grieve what we thought our future might look like with the Harris administration, and feel anxious about what things could look like for the next 4 years. But I also think that women for all of history have fought, and they have experienced setback after setback, and they have kept going, and progress has been made. And there may be more losses than there are wins, but that doesn't mean we'll give up. I really liked what Kamala said in her speech yesterday, that she's said throughout her campaign that when we fight, we win. And even though we didn't win on Tuesday, we will win, and we need to keep fighting, because what those in power want us to do, those who, want to subjugate us, is they want us to give up and decide it's easier to just stop fighting. And I think that's the only way that we can guarantee that we will lose, is if we stop fighting. And so I think that we really just need to invest in our communities, and, communities of women who want to, see women succeed, and to also support other marginalized communities. And so I think we need to invest in those communities. We need to help each other, because our institutions are obviously failing us. But we also need to keep fighting for institutional change, because it's obviously important as well. So, we just got to keep going.
I think just continuing to make your voice heard. Don't let anybody discount your thoughts. I feel like a lot of people kind of brush off what young women think and say, especially. So I think just not letting that get to you, and knowing that your ideas and your work is important, even if people are trying to make you feel like it's not. I know we're probably going to enter more of that, like conversations about this election and what mattered and what didn't matter. But I think that for young women, it's important to remember that your voice matters and what you're doing matters. And yeah.
My advice, and this kind of leans on like our conversation with Paige earlier, but like just be as involved as possible, whether that be joining clubs, organization, or even same like being involved as in like educating yourself on different topics, both sides of situations. I think the more involved, the more educated, the more aware you are of everything that's going around you and in our current political climate, I think the more confident you can be in your ability to talk about these situations, handle these situations, and I definitely think the key to becoming a leader is your confidence in yourself, and I think the backbone to building that confidence is preparing yourself and just reaching out to people, forming connections, learning from other past leaders, or leaning on people who are role models to you, and looking for new ways to kind of grow yourself as a person.
It's gotten very ugly. Lainey, yeah, I have to say it's gotten very, very ugly over the years, and it's because we've done it to ourselves. So my advice to you and to all the young women out there, women of all ages, is don't stop believing. Believe in yourself, because once you believe in yourself, then a lot of things can be accomplished, right? I tell when I go and talk to high school students, right? What I tell them is look in the mirror and tell that individuals that's staring back at you, I love you. I can do this. Sorry. I can do this. So anyway, high school students, I love talking to high school students because they are the future. All students are the future. But if you look at it, you ask questions, you look out at the classroom, and who's raising the hands is the boys, is the males. And the thing is women should be the ones raising their hands. And I tell them, don't stop believing. There is a better path. And I'm sorry, I'm just I don't know
Oh,
why I got emotional.
it's okay. Thank you so much for being so
Um,
vulnerable.
the so my advice to you and to others is to continue doing the good work and being able to be open to all ideas, open to all personalities, be open to everyone, and be able to listen. And maybe you don't agree with that, you don't agree with what you're hearing. Maybe you are like, yeah, I'm with you. But as a country, we need to move forward, right? um as a country, we have to continue to be for each other and not against each other. And on the state level, we have to continue to work as a team. And we have to find that common ground, and we have to find that, and ideology has to be put on the shelf. We cannot continue to sit there and say, well, I'm a Democrat and this is what I believe. This is the game book. This is the guide. This is the manual. And it's not like that. You have to look at leadership as, this is who I am. These are the ideas I'm coming, with. These is I want this agenda forward, and then the willingness to sit back and sit there and say, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Where can we find that common ground? And that's what's lacking in today, especially with women, where they are intimidated. They have to be asked 7 different times to run for office. Hey, ladies, if you're listening, what you need to do is you need to be part of the solution. Go out there and volunteer. Be on a not-for-profit. Be on a board and commission. Be there. Be a big sister. Go out there and inspire other women, because we need that. We need to have that boost, because for so long we have been suppressed, and we have said, you are not good enough. So when I got to the Senate, out of the what was it? We were 14. Out of the 14, 12 of us were women. And we got a lot done, even though we were part of the minority. So women talk. We get things done. We move forward, but we cannot ever forget to love ourselves and to look in that mirror and say, I love you. You are a good person, and we're going to make today a better day. And not put so much in the basket, but be able to sit there one thing at a time, one step at a time, being able to go and move the issues, move what's most important to ourselves forward. And we're gonna find some resistance. We're gonna find where people are gonna sit there and say, that's just a woman. No, we are one of the largest population in our country, and we are going to move things forward. We just have to believe in ourselves and we have to trust one another. That is my advice to you.